Alright everybody, welcome back to Everyday Whiskey. This is another segment we're going to call Bottle and Bond Day. Basically because today is March 3rd, Bottle and Bond Day. Unfortunately, as you can see to my left, there's nobody here. Mike had some family matters that he had to attend to. But don't worry, we're going to have a guest, like a little guest star on later. And I'll explain a little more about that in a second. But back to the matter at hand, we're going to be talking about Bottle and Bond. And it sounds very official because it is very official. It's a actual government bill that dates back to 1897, which is 121 years ago. The bill was pushed through by Colonel E.H. Taylor. As you might know, for his bourbons, he's got 4 different ones on the market. This one that we're going to be viewing today is his E.H. Taylor Straight Rye 100 proof. So, it is bottle and bonded. It says it on the bottom there. A bottle and bonded whiskey, it's got to be 100 proof. And the basic fundamentals that made a bottle and bonded whiskey are that the barrels had to be stored in a government warehouse that was checked on by the whatever local government to assure that these were being regulated, created in the right way. And that means that the whiskey has to be derived from one harvest season, one distillery, one master distiller, and technically should be from Kentucky, but it works out in other states, obviously, now that they've expanded the term bourbon to the whole country as opposed to just one state. So basically what this does is ensures the purity and high quality whiskey, and it doesn't allow these backwoods kitchen whiskeys to exist, and which these whiskeys back in the 1800s were creating rock gut, basically. They were rotting out people's guts because they would take a white whiskey like this that we're going to try in a little bit. Unfortunately, Zach's going to have to try this for the first time, and it's a little rough. But they're taking this whiskey, they're adding chemicals, and they're adding food coloring and stuff that's was definitely not good for you, and it was rotting out people's guts. People were getting sick, and they were thinking they were getting medicinal whiskey, and they really weren't. This was also taking money out of the pockets of the big distilleries like Buffalo Trace, Jim Beam, Jack Daniels. So obviously these guys did not want that to happen anymore. So like I said, in 1897, Colonel E.H. Taylor helped push through the bill called the Bottle and Bond Act. And obviously by doing this, each distillery that made a bottle and bonded whiskey, they got a tax kickback. But like I said, these whiskeys had to be higher quality. They had to be 100 proof. They had to be made very well. So it wasn't any short task. And they still hold this to today. It doesn't obviously apply to the same rule. It doesn't have the same rules anymore. It's more so just a statement to put on your bottle saying that this stuff is very good. It is very high quality. It's very pure whiskey. And this rye is no exception to that. You smell it, you definitely get the rye spice. You get a little vanilla. I even got like a little allspice, but spiciness in general. Not hot, but rye zest. When you taste it, the first thing you get is like a nice punch of cinnamon, and then a little bit of vanilla, and then that rye spice kind of takes it over in the back end. It's just a very well balanced, very well layered rye whiskey. So it's a little pricey. It goes for about $80 to $100 on the shelf. You can see it upwards of more depending on your location, where you're at in the country, stuff like that. But if you ever got an extra $100 below, I would 100%, if you're a rye drinker, buy this. If you're 100% a bourbon drinker, buy this. It's something you want to have in your collection, something that I would definitely have to kick around. I even made an old fashioned with this, and it was out of this world. But that's pretty much it for the Bottle and Bond Act. I don't want to bore you guys too much more with the litigation talk here. I just wanted to acknowledge that today is Bottle and Bond Day, and I'd be doing a disservice to this channel if I didn't acknowledge today was Bottle and Bond Day. Mike may not be on the show, but he's the reason we are doing this segment right now. He's had the idea to do it, and I thought it was awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't even think about it, and I'm so glad that he told me, because it is honestly one of the more fundamental landmarks of whiskey, like when things changed over for it to become what it is today. And Colonel E.H. Taylor is known as the grandfather of modern bourbon. So with saying that, I want to end this little segment here. Thank you for listening to this spiel, and in a few short minutes we're going to have Zach on as our first guest star of Everyday Whiskey. Thank you. Alright everybody, as promised, we have our first guest star. This is my roommate Zach.
What's going on?
And I guess we would call you like a whiskey novice, as far as knowledge goes, as far as like what you drink.
Yeah,
I know you're not a big whiskey guy to start with, just from knowing you for the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'll drink it like if I'm cold or like.
Oh yeah, like when the heat broke the one night.
Yeah, shit like that. But
yeah,
just I don't know.
Fair enough.
Whiskey's
Hot
whiskey.
toddies.
I'm not gonna turn it down.
Hot toddies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
hot toddies are your go-to.
When you're sick.
When you're sick, yeah. That's how we know. Every time I see like a Jim Beam hot toddy premix like out on the table, I know Zach's sick. But we're gonna do like a fun little experiment with you.
All right.
So basically, what we have here, we have Buffalo Trace's White Dog, which I'm pretty sure you can get throughout the U.S. But I happen to get this one at Buffalo Trace Distillery in Kentucky, so mine's better. And then we've got the after effect of what happens when this whiskey spends 8 to 10. There's no actual age statement on Buffalo Trace straight Kentucky bourbon, but from what I've heard and read, it's anywhere between 7 to 10 years, depending on which batch it is, that kind of deal. So, one cool thing that I saw. Every time I try this on somebody, it doesn't work. So we're gonna see if it works with you.
Oh boy.
Just take that and put like enough to cup like in the palm of your hand. Like don't dump the whole fucking thing out, but.
Well, this is not a good time to be doing this.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep, that's it.
All
right. So what we're gonna do here is we're basically pouring out like a splash of white whiskey or White Dog. Everyone else in the country might call it moonshine into our hands. And there's two things that bring out flavor in whiskey. One is heat. It brings out a scent or flavor to your nose. And the other thing is water, which we're going to test later, which brings out flavor to your palate. So basically the test here is, what you're going to do is create, because you poured too much.
All right.
You're going to create friction, and you're just going to vigorously rub this into your hand.
Right.
So just like hand sanitizer. Just do it for about 10 seconds. And then 1, 2, 3, and then smell. You smell almonds.
Yeah, kind of.
You smell almonds. You smell a
little
vanilla.
bit of booze though.
Well, yeah, you're gonna get booze because it's white whiskey.
But it's not like a bad smell. Though.
Just as like a note, this is 125 proof white whiskey, so by no means is this a mellow drinking. I would not sip on this. If you do want to sip on it, by all means, go for it. But this is basically, I would call this a party favor, something to pass around with your buddies around a campfire. But did it kind of work for you at all?
Yeah, I mean,
get like that almond, a little bit of vanilla.
Yeah,
like you're gonna get a little booze. Obviously, it's whiskey. If you don't
don't
smell booze, they did something wrong or they
True.
put sugar in it. So that is the Buffalo Trace White Dog. And in Kentucky, they either call it White Lightning or they call it White Dog. Moonshine is typically an East Coast term for it, like in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, stuff like that. So now for the really fun part, Zach, you're gonna try it. So here's your White Dog. Here's my White Dog. So why don't you give it a smell and let me know what you think. If it smells anything like what you did with your hands.
It smells strong.
Yeah.
It definitely smells strong.
But I said, I always get like a little sweetness with it though. It doesn't smell like, it definitely smells like moonshine, but it's not like a overbearing moonshine smell.
Sure.
So, here you go.
All right.
Try a little sip of it.
No.
It's there. It's definitely there. Kick you in the chest. All right, so like I said, this is not a sipping whiskey. It's gonna kick you in the chest. It's 125 proof. It's no joke. So basically, what happens? Like I said, you get this product right here when it spends 7 to 10 years in a American oak barrel.
Obviously, the same exact thing.
This is basically this mash bill is what becomes this whiskey.
Okay.
And it just spends time. It's 7 to 10 years in a barrel, and that's what the barrel coloring does. That's all from the barrel. That's nothing to do with any adjuncts or additives. That's exactly what a barrel does to a whiskey, and that's the cool part. Is like basically nature just takes its course for 7 to 10 years. And that's the cool part about bourbon. Is basically bourbon is 100% from the earth and made by the earth. Obviously, we have a little hand in how to craft it, but without basically trees and corn and soil, like bourbon doesn't exist. And this is what happens over a 7 to 10 year aging period for bourbon. So here's your Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon.
All right.
That's a 90 proof whiskey. So this one is going to have a little kick, but when you smell it, you're not going to get that volatile or potent smell to it. It's going to get a little like caramel, a little wood. So you give it a little smell.
Is this a shot?
No, don't do it like a shot.
Oh, okay.
Do not do that.
Because I kind of did that last one.
I didn't pour it. No, the last one I literally only poured a little bit because you can't take too much of it.
Okay.
So you could have shot that one back. You're actually brave for doing it. I didn't on mine. The smell, you don't smell wood. You smell oak, right?
Yeah.
And then, so we're going to try it and see what you get. I know what I'm going to get because I wrote it down already.
Oh, that's actually good.
Right?
That's really good.
Right? You get a little spiciness. Nothing,
Right.
nothing
and
crazy.
like the aftertaste, but
But, all right, so basically,
that's really good.
if you go online, it's going to tell you it tastes like honey, vanilla, and oak. Which, that should be every bourbon.
pretty on point.
That's a pretty standard bourbon, but some, like, personal tasting notes I got a little toffee and I got a little butterscotch. If you really delve into it, you know.
Right.
And that's after having 3 glasses last night. So, my taste buds could have been a little desensitized. So, one cool trick with this whiskey, though, is what I'm going to do, I'll do it for you. If you take a cap full of water, and like, remember how I said earlier, there's 2 things. Heat creates a scent for your nose, and water creates a taste for your mouth.
Okay.
So water will actually open this whiskey up, and you're going to get some crazy cool flavors. And you're just going to dump a cap full into it. And then you can just...
That's all you need is a capful.
That's all you need is a cap full. You'd probably do less.
Really?
Some people use like an eyedropper. But for our sakes, all I have is a bottle cap. So you can swirl around, you can spin it around, whatever you want to do with it. But for this, just add water. So there you go, buddy. And watch how much it smooths out completely.
Whoa.
Gone, right?
Yeah.
No burn, no kick.
That's something you can just
Chill.
drink straight, like
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah, with no ice.
Yeah. That's really
And that's
good.
also like when you put ice in your bourbon, like kind of time I'll put 2 ice cubes in. After a while, that's what your whiskey starts. That's why your whiskey gets better. It's because the ice is melted into it.
Right.
So like, do you have like questions, like anything that you come to mind about these whiskeys?
No, I mean, I find it kind of, I didn't really believe you at first when you were like, oh, these are the same exact
Yeah.
kinds. It's the same product.
And what's
just
cool is that
10 years or 8 years difference.
yeah, as you like said, most people some people may not know this, some people will know this watching this channel. Buffalo Trace has upwards of 20 different brands under their belt. So, but within all 20 brands, would Pappy Van Winkle, E.H. Taylor, Larceny, Old Fitzgerald, W.L. Weller, Buffalo Trace, the flagship product here. There's only 3 mash bills. There's only 3 recipes that make the base whiskey, and then everything else has to do with the barrel they actually use, the rick house it's in, where it's placed in the rick house, if it's placed on the sunny side of the rick house, if it's placed on the dark side of the rick house,
Oh, wow.
what the climate was over the aging period. So basically, they can create 20 different whiskeys with 3 different recipes, and that's one of the 3 recipes, mash number 1. So yeah, like I said, it's cool to see like a before and after shot, like presently in front of you.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But
That was wild what that water did.
yeah, right.
Too. I
I'm
mean, that
telling
was
you, man.
like
That was no joke, right?
so different. It's so good though.
Yeah, it makes it super palatable. Not that the first one wasn't,
Right.
but the water, like I said, it opens it up.
Even
You
better,
really,
yeah.
you really get a lot of flavor
You
to
can
it.
enjoy it more.
Oh yeah.
Now, like, does that work for like any whiskey or just this stuff?
A lot of what you'll see a lot is actually Scotch exclusively. They will tell you to put water in all of their Scotch, anywhere from 50-year-old Scotches down to, famous grouse, which is it's got a handle on it, so you can do the math. Basically, what what water does for whiskey is it's like beer on tap. It basically pumps the flavor out of it and cuts back all the booze.
Okay.
The booze is still there; it's still present,
Right.
and you're gonna feel it the same way. But it just makes it a little more enjoyable, a little easier to drink. Some people might like it neat, won't want anything in it. I get that too, but this is a cool little test to show you like some different applications of how to drink whiskey. But yeah, man, I want to thank you again for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for the whiskey and
You-
the knowledge.
Yes, and I feel like I always supply whiskey to the house, but yeah, you got it, man, anytime. But that's it for this segment of Everyday Whiskey. As I said before, this episode is called Bottle and Bond. Thank you once again for being our first guest star, Zach.
No problem.
I'm pretty sure you had a good time.
I enjoyed myself. Yeah.
So, guys, I will see you next week with another segment. Thank you.